thanks for joining me. My name's Gemma and I run a little studio in Cardiff called Lark Design Make. I have a nice dog here and we love crochet. I've been teaching it for about 5 years now. I started teaching it shortly after I learnt it because I actually found it quite hard to learn, and then there's a few little tricks that I learned along the way in that first year of learning it, and I love sharing that with people. And I think now I've taught over 500 people here in my studio or on Zoom, so I'm hoping I'll be able to help you get started on this hobby that's just really useful. It's a really good time killer. I love doing it whilst watching TV, and I actually find it quite a good way of putting my phone down and doing something a little bit more for myself. So in these videos I'm going to show you how to get started, then I'm going to show you how to make a little tea cosy or even a plant cosy, and then we're going to move on to having a go at granny squares, and maybe you can have a little go at making some clothing or some home decor. So first up, we need to figure out what you need. There's lots and lots and lots of different types of crochet hooks available. Now I prefer to use a metal one or a plastic one. They're quite simple designs, but you can obviously just need to try a few. They all have benefits. Some of them are lighter, some of them are heavier, some of them have ergonomic handles. Just have a little try and see which one you prefer. What I always recommend to beginners is that you start on a size 6mm crochet hook, and then the yarn that matches that is a chunky yarn, so really easy to find. The benefit of it being a bit bigger is that it's easier to see and that you'll be able to crochet with ease. I also always recommend that you go for a nice bright and light colour, because then you'll also be able to see what you're doing. A few little top tips whilst I remember is, whilst you're watching mine or any other crochet video, at the bottom of YouTube there's a little settings button. If you press that, you can actually reduce the playback speed and make it a lot slower, which is really useful when you're trying to see what is being demonstrated. And the other thing is that the UK terms and the American terms are different in crochet. I wouldn't get too worried about that, but it's just something good to know. So I'm going to teach you now double crochet. In America, that's called single crochet, but I wouldn't worry about that too much, but just a little advance warning when you're watching different videos. Just watch what they're doing and follow it. Don't worry too much about what they're called. So I just want to tell you a little bit about how to hold your crochet hook and how to hold your yarn. Now everything I say is going to be for right-handed people, but at the end I'll say a little bit about how to hold it if you're left-handed. So you get your crochet hook and you hold it where the little dip is, and you hold it either like a pen or like a knife. Again, don't worry too much about overthinking that. Just try it in your hand and see which one feels right to you. So that's in your leading hand. In your other hand, you're going to be placing your yarn. Now your yarn needs to go between your fingers, generally lower down, because you want it to be a little bit tenser so you can pull the yarn slowly as you work. But there isn't really any correct way to do this, so don't really worry about it too much. Just practice crocheting, and then suddenly you'll notice that it's happened, because it gets really frustrating if you keep dropping that yarn in your left hand. It also needs to be quite tense at all times, but I'll try and show you that as I work through doing some work. Now that's definitely the hardest thing when crocheting. So let's get started. So you're going to start with a slip knot. A slip knot is, as it sounds, a knot that moves. So you just need to create a little fish using the end of your yarn, and you can take the yarn from the center of your ball or from the outside. Just take whichever one comes to you first. Then, with the fans on, it's blowing away a little. Then you're just going to hold that there, and then you're going to take the long yarn and you're going to put it inside the center of the little fishy there. So the short yarn here is on the top and my long yarn is going down into the fishy. I'm grabbing that and then I'm pulling that through, and I've got my slip knot. Okay, so here we go. Just moving that up. I can put my crochet hook inside, and that's how I know that I've definitely made a slip knot, is I'm able to slide it along and get it into position. Now we're going to do yarn over. This is said like a million times in crochet videos. It's the one thing that you always do to create a stitch. So I'm holding my yarn in my left hand, and obviously I'll do it after I've done this. I'll quickly try and show you in my other hand, and then my right hand is holding my crochet hook. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the yarn and I'm going to put it over the crochet hook. I'm going to grab the little slip knot from underneath, and then I'm going to pull this crochet hook towards me. I'm going to make sure I make the most of this, the hook in the head. That's the thing that's pulling the yarn through. So I'm just sliding it underneath the loop that I made. Okay, let's do that again. So yarn over, the yarn is always coming over the crochet hook and towards you. Then you rotate your crochet hook so that you're grabbing that yarn as you come through and you're pulling it to the right. I'll do it again. Yarn over, then rotating your crochet hook, grabbing it and pulling it through. Let me just quickly show left-handed people what they need to do. So exactly the same, you've got your crochet hook in your left hand, you put your yarn over towards you, and this is the bit I can't actually do with my right hand, but you'd be pulling your yarn with your crochet hook, sorry, with your left hand through that loop. Okay, so everything's kind of mirrored. So I would just recommend that you just sit, get comfortable, get a cup of tea, and just do this until you can do it whilst looking up and watching the television. That will then mean that your hands are starting to understand crochet. All right, so yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. What you're looking for is nice even chains. None of them are twisted, because that can happen when you're learning, as you can kind of keep turning the yarn over. So try and be consistent in your stitches. And the good thing is it's just for practice to warm your hands up. And what you can do afterwards is you can just pull it all apart and then you can start again. I know that sounds silly, but you just need to get that muscle memory of your hands doing what they need to do. So the last thing I just want to tell you is about how to count the amount of crochet chains that you do. So one moment. So you make a little chain of them, and then we look down and we see the far left there. That's your slip knot, so it's kind of slightly different direction. And then the others are all going this way. Okay, so these are all my chains. I do not count the one that's on my crochet hook. So I'm just going to go along and I'm going to count the little rainbows on the top, the little ridges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so that means I've got 9 chains in that row. So now I have my row of chains, and I want to add to it some double crochet stitches. So I do this as slowly as I can. So what I'd like you to do, so you've got your crochet hook in the last one. I want you to skip the previous chain. I'm going to explain a little bit more about that in the next video, so I just need you to trust me for now. And then we're going to go into the next chain along. So we're going to ignore this one and we're going to go into the second one along. So this is a double crochet, the simplest of the stitches. So all you're going to do is you're going to take your crochet hook, which is for now in your right hand. I can demonstrate in my left in a moment. I got my yarn in between my fingers in my left hand. Just put it properly. And I'm going to go and insert the crochet hook from the front into that second chain and push it all the way to the back. Now I always want my working yarn, that's the yarn on the ball, behind my work. And there it is. I'm just going to slap it over the top, which is actually called a yarn over. So it's just there waiting for me. And I'm going to pick it up as I come back through the chain. So all I've done basically is gone into that chain, I've gone and grabbed some yarn and I've brought it back through with me. So now I have 2 hoops on my hook. Then I'm going to do one more yarn over, so exactly the same as we did for those chains. I'm going to take that and I'm going to drag that through the 2. So can you see what I did? Is I had my crochet hook up, but I'm actually just going to rotate it because there's more space underneath those 2 hoops. So I'm just going to come underneath and grab that. That is a double crochet, what I've just done there. So now I need to do 8 more along this row because remember I skipped that first one. So I'm just going to go in the next chain. My yarn is yarn over, but that's very simple. You're just literally putting it on top of the hook. I'm dragging that back through, so try your best not to use your fingers. Try and trust the hook. So I should have 2 on, then yarn over. You'll notice I pull down my work a little bit, so I've got a bit more space, and then I'm pulling it through. I'll do 2 more slightly faster. So you're just going straight in to the next chain. So we're just working all the way from right to left into the hook, into the hoop, picking up the yarn from behind dragging that back through with us, yarn over and pull through 2, and then 1 more, so into the next chain, pick up the yarn from behind, 2 on, yarn over, pull through. Okay, let me just try showing for left-handed. So, put the ball over here. So you've got, you're going into your next chain, you're picking up your yarn, which for you is on the right hand side, you're pulling that through, and then you're doing a yarn over, and again this is the bit I can't do with my left hand just doesn't compute, but you're going to be grabbing that yarn and dragging it through. So everything is the same, it's just mirror image. Okay, and then I'll leave you to keep practicing that, and then it'd be great if you could join me in the next video when I'll explain how to turn this into a little tea cozy. See you soon!